Seen from the sky, this country is a sea of its own deep green pine forest, rolling on for hours, broken only by the silver flash of 100,000 lakes off its coast. 250,000 islands lie scattered across the Baltic, like stars poured out on dark water, and in the far north, past the Arctic Circle, the trees thin out into snowfields, where for part of every year, the sun does not rise at all. This is Sweden, a quiet kingdom of 10.5 million people, stretched 1,600 kilometers from the beachwoods of the south to the reindeer plains of the north, home to more islands than any other country on Earth. Here is the strange part. These people hand over some of Europe's heaviest taxes, and almost none of them want to live anywhere else. They treat silence not as something missing, but as something earned. And right now, above the Arctic Circle, an entire city is quietly packing up houses, clock tower, church, and all, and moving 3 kilometers across the tundra before the ground beneath it gives way. Today we cross Sweden from school children pedaling through falling snow to a 672-ton church rolling down a road, chasing one question: what kind of country, rather than lose a single town, would choose to pick it up and carry it? Stay with us all the way to the end. You will watch that church take its walk, 0.5 kilometer an hour, with a king in the crowd. Morning in Sweden starts earlier than the sun. In the blue half-light of winter, small figures glide along the bike paths. Children, some no older than 7, pedaling themselves to school through falling snow. Reflective vests glow over their snowsuits. No parent hovers behind them. Here a child, finding their own way through a dark morning, is not neglect. It is the first lesson in a lifelong course called Managing on Your Own. The country around them runs like a well-kept clock. Trains arrive when the time says they will, and people apologize when they are 3 minutes late at the bus stop. Strangers stand a full arm's length apart, sometimes 2, in a neat, unspoken line that no one organized, and no one breaks. Nobody honks, nobody pushes. The morning simply proceeds calm and exact, as if the whole nation had rehearsed it the night before. To see how deep the order goes, step into the basement of any apartment building and find the Tortuga, the communal laundry room. There is a booking board, and your reserved hours are close to sacred finish. On time, wipe the machines, and above all, clean the lint filter. Forgetting, it is not a crime in any court, but neighbors will remember it longer than they would a scandal. One small room, and inside it, the entire Swedish social contract. The same evenness runs upward through society. Since a quiet language reform in the 1960s, almost everyone here is addressed by their first name. The bus driver, the professor, the chief executive of the company. A junior employee can question the boss across the table, and the boss is expected to listen. Titles exist on paper. In the room, there are just people speaking calmly, one at a time. None of this is enforced by cameras or fines. It rests on a single assumption, made 10 million times a day, that the other person will do their part. Swedes have a word for this deep social trust, tillit, and it is spelled the same forward and backward, which feels almost too fitting. It is the invisible machinery of the country, and as you will see, it can carry far heavier things than a laundry schedule. At around 10 o'clock in the morning, and again at 3, something remarkable happens in offices across Sweden. Work stops, not secretly, not guilty officially. Colleagues rise from their desks, gather around coffee and a plate of cinnamon buns, and talk about anything except the project due on Friday. This is fika, and no meeting, no deadline, and no visiting executive is important enough to cancel it. Fika is usually translated as a coffee break, and every Swede will tell you the translation fails. It works as a verb just as well as a noun. Eufika, with someone on purpose. The coffee matters. Swedes drink more of it than almost anyone on the planet. The kanalbula, soft and smelling of cardamom and cinnamon, matters too. But the real point is the pause itself, a small shared agreement that human beings are not machines. When the clock reaches 5, the office is empty, and this is not slacking. It is the system working. A standard week is 40 hours, and staying late is quietly read, not as devotion, but as a planning problem. Results count hours. Do not by 5. The man who ran the morning meeting is in the supermarket with a shopping list, and by 6, he is picking up his daughter, and no one finds this remarkable. Walk into a cafe on a Tuesday afternoon, and you meet the most photographed proof of it. A table of men in their 30s, each with a stroller parked beside him, and a sleeping baby. Inside, Swedes call them latte dads. With a smile behind them stands one of the most generous parental systems anywhere. 480 paid days for every child, split between the parents, with 3 months reserved for each, so that neither can quietly hand their share away. Ask a Swede what all this wealth is, for the salaries, the technology, the taxes, and the answer, once you translate it out of politeness, is usually the same time to eat dinner, as a family at 6, time to vanish to the forest in July, time to sit for 15 minutes in the afternoon, with coffee and a warm bun, and someone worth talking to in Sweden that is not the reward for a successful life. That is the definition of one. Drive south into Småland, and the land tells you honestly how hard it once was. Granite boulders, the size of cars, lie scattered through the forest, dropped by the Ice Age, and never moved. The soil between them is thin and stubborn. For centuries, families here cleared stones by hand, spring after spring, and learned a character to match the ground. Repair. What breaks waste? Nothing. Expect little, endure. It is no accident that IKEA, an empire of plain and affordable things, began in exactly this province. In the 1800s, the stones won harvests. Failed farms could not be divided any further, and the poorest corners of Sweden began to empty. Between roughly 1850 and 1930, About 1.3 million Swedes, from a nation of only a few million packed trunks, walked to the harbors and boarded ships for America. Whole parishes lost half their young people. Pastors read farewell blessings on the docks for passengers they knew they would never see again.